Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading, and you are tuned into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. I have with me my co-host, Chris Agelastos, who he and I have been talking about a variety of different issues over the last couple of years that we've been doing this podcast. And one of which in particular has been the alliance known as BRICS, which has been as much as I kind of hate to say it, it's been growing and thriving, it seems like every time we blink our eyes. And I mean, Chris, we've mentioned this many times in our podcast how uh, every day, literally, there's at least another piece of information out there about BRICS and some of the things that they've done. And one of the we'll call it I'm going to call it this, a pillar nations of BRICS is India. And they've caught a lot of headlines here in the last couple of years, one of which, this one here, India's gold imports hit 7.8 billion, second largest on record. And
Mhm.
this has become a very common theme. We've seen central banks buying gold at record levels, financial institutions, but we've also seen these BRIC nations that, number one, they, as just like India here, they have been buying a ton of gold by the tonnage, we could even say.
Yeah.
And in addition to this, they are doing this it's kind of in conjunction with the fact that they are, as a BRICS participating nation, everything that they talk about is getting a gold backed or gold centered currency put in place. And so, when you see stuff like this, the United States and President Trump, the administration has been, trying to do what they can to kind of slow this de-dollarization effort. But it's very difficult to do when you look at what India has done here in short order. And again, that's saying something, record levels of gold being purchased.
Mhm.
And this is all in the face of, getting rid of US dollars in order to do things like this. And I don't think this is something that, if this continues, Chris, that the United States of America is going to have a very difficult time, sustaining that currency status throughout the world. And for that matter, it leaves into question, that basically how the US dollar is going to fare in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I mean, look, what has benefited the U.S. dollar for so many years is the fact that other nations had to rely on our currency to be able to back their own currencies and do international trade. And now you have so many of these nations, their central banks stockpiling the gold, like you mentioned. Not just the BRICS nations, although they are certainly leading the charge. But I look at it like these countries are really just doing what I've been doing, or what a lot of our clients have been doing, and that's just looking for some stability, something else I can count on in addition to just my paper dollars, if I need it, right? And if I don't need it, while it sits there, it's been growing, very handsomely in value, and it helps me sleep better at night. And so it's just giving me more stability and security and options. And I think these nations are doing the same thing.
Right.
Obviously, it's also used a little bit for jewelry and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's just got such a tremendous track record of thousands of years of holding a stable value and being able to be used as a means of exchange. And so it's no shock that they've what was it? It said, I believe they tripled in the last 3 months what their normal importing is. So that's huge. And just in the last let's see, couple of years here, their reserve gold holdings have gone from 13%, or up to, excuse me, almost 14% from 11%.
Right.
A few more years, that's probably going to be 18, 20%, maybe even 25%. And so, for that reason and others here, they specifically say they're expecting gold to now, march towards the $5,000 an ounce range. We're right around 4,000 as we speak here today. So, that's what, another 25% growth in the near
Yeah.
future here. So I think India is just doing what a lot of the rest of us are doing, and maybe they figured it out a little bit earlier, but I think it makes sense for most people at this point.
Well, I'd go as far as say they're experiencing radical growth because it has
Yeah.
been, unbelievable. again, just the sheer or strict momentum that this BRICS alliance has created and continues to
Hmm.
create more and more each day. And that's something where what the detractors, those who minimize, let's say, the um, impact that BRICS is going to have, or even the viability, the chance of them actually moving forward in the future, et cetera. Like the big criticism, Chris, and you know this, is that they've said there's just no uniform understanding that these nations have, meaning like you've got all these different countries out there, they're looking out for their own interests, so it's going to be very difficult for them to all get on the same page. Well, that's totally not true, because if you look at this next article here, you look at what's happened, but this next article, gold settlement architecture opens door to dollar free trade. And it's right there alone. Gold is a universal asset of choice, international asset of
Hmm.
choice. Okay. So you have all these nations who, look, they get into it how, like, a lot of these countries would like their currency to be used more because that's builds strength and it's good for their economy, et cetera. But they're coming together and they're agreeing, like, okay, we don't want dollars because we're tired of being kind of under the thumb of the US. So what we can
Hmm.
agree on is that if we start settling our trade in gold, that's kind of the great equalizer. We're all on the same page that gold has a very real value, a very universal value, and that's what they're doing. And
Hmm.
it's building on in terms of this momentum, excuse me. You have 11 countries that are part of the gold settlement system of BRICS right now, and here's the thing: 22 more, they say, are in the application stages. They're
Yep.
building vaults and networks everywhere, to store and house this gold. So I mean, in fact, they say right here, the gold settlement framework as an alternative to dollar-based trade, it's here. And
Yep.
it's something that they feel comfortable and confident in. And I can't say that I blame them. I mean, if I had the choice of sitting on $1 million worth of gold right now or $1 million worth of currency, I can always turn my gold into currency. But
Yep.
anything bad happens out there, or a drop of value like we've seen with the dollar, there are plenty of periods throughout history with various nations and their currencies where currency cannot always be converted back into gold.
Right. And for the detractors saying that, like you brought up initially here, that they don't have a means to be able to do these transactions and whatnot. That was true 15 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. But
Probably even
but
five, to be honest with you.
yeah, as far as like practical implementation, but since 2017, Russia and China started building this
Right.
system, and so
Right.
it hasn't, even though I feel like a lot of people think this has just happened overnight because we're hearing more and more about it over the last year or so. Certainly, the previous administration, the Biden administration, I don't even know if they ever said the word BRICS. They didn't want to go anywhere near acknowledging the reality of this situation. And President Trump has been a lot more vocal, although he's focused on a lot of other things at the same time right now. So now this system is in place and it is growing. Whether we like it or not, we need to contend with the fact that this is here, and I don't think it's going to change. The nations, just like any individual, love the idea of being able to trade with each other's currencies, make quicker and easier transactions, and know that they can convert that to gold anytime they want. And that's
Right.
one of the reasons why we're hearing so much about these reserves being built up and more gold buying and the gold price continuing to climb. All of this, plays into each other. And you're right. I just don't see any reason for this to change because for much of the world, this is a major improvement. It may not necessarily feel like one here in the United States because it does mean that our dollar is losing some superiority, at least to an extent. But as this ramps up, it's really hard to say where the dollar is going to be in 5 or 10 years time.
Right. You're absolutely right. And there again, for those tuning in, it speaks to the whole reason or purpose behind being properly diversified: cash, equities, gold, gold and silver, both in the physical form, land. So you have yourself a good balance. and take it like we talked about in an earlier podcast, taking a page out of what Warren Buffett's doing in his investment approach to things right now. Same thing with this. Look at what central banks, governments, and institutions are doing out there. There's a reason they're buying not ETFs, not mining shares, not mining corporations. They are buying
Yeah.
physical metal, and for good reason. And I would encourage those tuned in to do the same. You can find out more about that and get free information about how to do that by contacting our office at 1-800-289-2646 or text us at 1-800-289-2646, the same phone number. And you can also visit online at www.swissamerica, all one word, SWISS America.com. And we'd be happy to get that information out to you. Chris, I'm happy you shared all that information with us, even though it is not the happiest of information. It kind of is what it is, as the old saying goes. And we'll talk more about this in the future as well. And, hopefully at some point we do see something that I'm not saying I want BRICS to fail. I don't want it to go away, but the de-dollarization aspect of it, I don't think that's going to go away. But if that could be minimized a little bit, I think that would be of benefit to us all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, well, there you have it. And for those of you who are tuned in again and you've been with us before, welcome back and we thank you. And for those of you who are not subscribed to this podcast, please do so, as we'd love to stay in touch with you in the future. Have a great rest of your day and we'll see you real soon.
Yep. Take care.